Today we're going to be analysing a profile by Channel 4 on the alt-right. I want you to come away with a better understanding of how the media manipulates, but also I want you to be able to identify as we go along the visual clues that serve to paint the subject of this profile, the alt-right, in a negative fashion.
The so-called alternative or alt-right. Many say it is just relabelling for the far right. It's a term which encompasses a range of often young, right-wing speakers and bloggers. Some have become notorious for their views on race, religion, gender.
So if you'd noticed the fire and flames as Jon Snow is introducing this segment about the alt-right, then you can already tell that Channel 4 are really pulling out the stops here. This is Peter Finch in Network meets Dante's Inferno.
Channel 4 News has been hearing from some of them. They disagree about what the movement actually stands for, and they don't all share the same extreme views. But they're united in believing that Western culture is under threat. And a warning, this film does contain words and symbols you may find offensive.
Let's look at Jon Snow's language as he describes the alt-right. He says that there is a disagreement between its members. The implication can be drawn that these people have no group identity. Instead, they are lost, disparate, something which the upcoming profile will hammer home. Snow does say that they are united in believing that Western culture is under threat, but the contentious word there is believing. Channel 4 are trying to dismiss this fact, the fact that Western culture is threatened, and turn it into a fantasy almost. Also, need it be said that the graphics behind Snow enlarge to say fake as he dismisses the reality as a belief.
The left is dead. We are winning. We've worked hard for this for years. We're finally getting there.
Trump is our mascot. Trump is someone who we put our faith into. That's the job of the alt-right, bringing that cultural influence into politics.
Oh, the alt-right. Well, I see us pretty much everywhere I go on the internet. The umbrella term is for anyone that's against white people being replaced in their own nations. But it's a general term that covers a lot of things.
So the profile starts with these non-diegetic, separate sound bites playing over this washed out grey footage, and the overall effect is that of a dire, miserable dystopia that these people on the alt-right live in. The sound bites serve to isolate these people as individuals, making them not part of a cohesive collective. If Jon Snow's introduction evoked this coming of the fiery apocalypse, then this opening suggests a 28 days later post-apocalyptic place that these alt-righters inhabit.
How long ago do you consider yourself left-wing?
I'd say it was probably a year ago when I was still wearing my Rage Against the Machine t-shirts and things. So,
It's really an insight to see the choices that have been made by Channel 4 when deciding on what footage to include in their final edit. The first person we see is immediately accompanied by their age, and a question that serves to paint this person's entry into the alt-right as a recent conversion. The viewer at home is to be served with the impression that this is just a young lad going through a phase.
At first I refused to even watch the videos because I said I don't want to listen to a racist because I was narrow-minded. I was like watching the videos around January, February time last year, and by April I'd made like a full conversion.
Another interesting choice this Channel 4 profile makes is when it slows down the footage like this and plays that respective person's quotes over them. This one almost conveys the sense that his evil, apocalyptic ideas are coming from his mobile phone and the internet, and the way in which the camera goes in on his face suggests that he is being toxically consumed. This all serves to make the boomer at home throw their hands up in outrage and declare, "They should take their phones off them! The internet is harmful for these children!"
I think my parents think that I don't understand, that I'm ignorant, and that I've got a lot of growing up to do.
Do they know about everything? Do they know about the website?
No.
You don't know?
No.
We meet our only woman in this, and it's of note that Channel 4 have sought to include footage where she talks about her family's reaction to her being alt-right. Channel 4 is reinforcing its initial message that this is a phase. These are just children, they are lost, alone, residents of this apocalyptic landscape which has consumed their minds. The interviewer asks, do they know about everything? As though the interviewee is a serial killer and not just someone with an opinion which is not left-wing.
Found other YouTubers and, found my people, so to speak.
In a moment where the girl is being happy, she's smiling, she's joyous in that she's found a group she can identify with, Channel 4 chooses to underwrite that happiness by swelling the music and cutting to a bloke lighting a match. The viewer at home is clearly meant to associate these two things. The viewer at home is clearly meant to think that this girl has fallen into the wrong sort of crowd. Also, that recurring motif of flames, fire rising.
I was about 16, 15, so they got to me quite young, so to speak. I'm primarily a libertarian, but I sympathise with the alt-right. It happens on the internet, in forums, in Reddit, 4chan.
Another one of these parts where the footage is slowed down and accompanied by non-diegetic sound bites. This one serves to make this bloke look like a total prat. Isn't he edgy, smoking on public property? It doesn't help matters that he looks like a spotty 15-year-old. Anyway, Channel 4 love this one. They love him. And with him, they've struck gold. They'll strike platinum later, but here they've struck gold.
YouTube, Facebook, that's where all the discussion is, that's where all the debate is, that's where all the fun is, basically, the entertainment, so to speak. The amazing thing the alt-right has done is fused politics, culture and entertainment in one.
So Jacob is a libertarian, but they allow him a large portion of this profile as he speaks about the alt-right. And you'll see why Channel 4 want him, in particular, to go into these things. Take note in the upcoming extract of the flag covering the window, shutting out his connection with the outside world, and notice how they've included the footage of him talking about his bookshelf and why that may be relevant in wanting to paint the alt-right negatively.
We come on to Mein Kampf. I simply believe that, if you like history, even just you should read this, because this is probably the important book of the 20th century. Even if you're not alt-right, you should have read this.
Mein Kampf. Mein fucking Kampf. While getting through this profile on the alt-right from Channel 4 is a struggle in itself, is my personal struggle, I'm sure that when Channel 4 were having the focus meeting prior to them shooting the footage, that they were all sat around thinking about things that they could include in the short documentary that would repulse and alienate the viewer watching at home, that would get the average man on the street to not want to associate. And I'm certain that they all agreed on some pasty, spotty teenagers with Mein Kampf proudly displayed on their bookshelves.
But how do the ideas of Hitler fuse into the alt-right?
They see him as the archetype of a person who they should be. Just like maybe say Muslims see Muhammad as the archetype of a Muslim. They see Hitler and Nazi Germany as how the world should be.
The libertarian then goes on to completely character assassinate the alt-right by saying its members see Hitler as the archetype of a person who they want to be or should be. What a silly thing to say. When Channel 4 found this bloke, they couldn't believe their luck. And I'm certain as well that they tried to goad either him or other people in this documentary to do a Nazi salute. I'm certain that they tried to do that. But these people mustn't have been having it, or else, had someone done it, it would have been prominently included, I'm sure, in slow motion, with swelling music and maybe some flames.
Myself just a conservative. I don't think I'm radical. The alt-right's a little bit more radical. Congratulations, Donald Trump, and congratulations, everyone else. You know, we've worked hard for this for years, and we're finally getting there. The politics have changed drastically, and that's just because the culture's changed as well. There's a great phrase that some people use, is like, we've memed this world into life.
The profile is back to its main theme, that these people in the alt-right are isolated, lost people, not part of a collective, as is true. Instead, they're isolated, lost, disparate. And how better can that be illustrated by showing a man standing in an open field on his own, being a one-man camera crew? I think it's very peculiar that they included the footage of him looking into the camera's view screen as he's trying to make himself presentable. I suppose it adds to the noxious mix that they're concocting, that this bloke is just a fool in a field. And, well, more than that, the alt-right are just fools standing in a metaphysical field of their own loneliness.
Yeah, I've got a ton of stuff going on here.
What do your friends and family think about your beliefs?
My family think it's dangerous. My white friends don't quite know. My friends of other races, I've had to speak to them about it because I think it's a concern that it's all our concern. But for now, I need to keep my identity secret until I've at least got some people in my personal life that understand my qualms. I just sort of started seeing how the world's been changing over the past year, and I thought, I don't want this future. I don't want my children to grow up, or my future children to grow up a minority in their country. It doesn't mean I hate any other group. I don't hate any other group. I just believe that every group has its own rights, and that white people's needs and rights need to be respected like every other group.
And is the alt-right helping?
Helping? Oh yeah, it's helping because it's helping ensure that there could be a future, rather than my people being erased.
But are you verifying the stuff that you see on YouTube?
Well, I can make up my mind from it.
But are you fact-checking it?
Yes, some of it. But you can't constantly fact-check everything you see. That's rather tedious. But yeah, there's a lot of it that... Do you fact-check everything you see on the mainstream media?
Now, this is the platinum that I was alluding to earlier. Jesus Christ. I guarantee you that the Channel 4 executives, when seeing the daily rushes of Paul and his frog mask, they fell about the place in laughter. Then, as it was a Wednesday, they all went for a winner-winner chicken dinner at Wetherspoons, because never in their wildest dreams did they think they'd find a LARPer as good as this for their hit piece on England's alt-right movement. Look, lads, if you're watching this and you're ever approached by a mainstream media outlet to speak for the alt-right, for heaven's sake, do not wear a frog mask. Hell, don't even wear a mask. Be unashamed. Be confident. Be proud in your beliefs, because the viewer at home will see that and be inspired. It's very, very, very extremely hard to be inspired by some weak frog mask wearing coward. And really, this sort of behaviour only turns the movement into a joke.
You have all these soft-spoken intellectuals on the internet who are called Nazis, and it's nonsense. They're ordinary people who just have perhaps slightly controversial views. Even very moderate people are called like things like that. Like Milo Yiannopoulos, kind of.
Is he a moderate?
He's very moderate. He's been called far right, and he's like a liberal, like a classic liberal, but he's been called far right. That's nonsense. People like me are far right. Good heavens.
You have to look at where it goes. And where does this stuff go?
Oh, come on. Are you seriously suggesting that people pontificating on the internet leads to, you know, stamping down people's doors? No, nonsense. That's total nonsense.
To be honest, I think that Adam is the only person that comes off well in this profile by Channel 4. Aesthetically, he doesn't seem as challenged as those that have gone before him. His posture seems more confident. His stride through the English countryside indicates his mastery over it. But it's telling that Channel 4 decided to front-load the documentary with such a deluge of shit beforehand. Had they have put Adam at the beginning, then I doubt the effect that Channel 4 wanted would have been achieved. But instead of allowing Adam to close off this profile into the alt-right, leaving the viewer with a sense that, maybe there are some people in this alt-right thing that are relatable, sound characters, they decide to bring back their favourite fucking frog.
It's coming off the internet and people are meeting up in person more and more, and eventually they'll get together and it won't be what you'd expect. Like, most of these people are very unstereotypical. They're not like the sort of people you find on EDL marches or BNP marches.
And if that hadn't left the parting impression that Channel 4 wanted you to come away from this with, then wait just a second, lads, because Jacob the Libertarian is back, and this time he's holding his Make America Great Again flag as he stands in his smelly bedroom.
We're all looking at America in sort of glee and hope. So we're hoping that that success translates into, for example, Le Pen in France, or Alternative for Deutschland, or the Swedish Democrats. As one of my friends said, your politics has ended, mine has just begun.
10 out of 10 to Channel 4. This was a tour de force, a work of art. It's a complete and total character assassination of the movement, make no mistake. But it has to be applauded for the sheer transparency and cynicism of the techniques they've used. Bravo.